All right, so yeah, I'm back with another video. I'm sorry. It's been weeks. I know. I'm sorry. It's been a lot going on, but I'm back with another movie review. I got to see the Batman, guys, and it was great. I have to admit, it was really, really great. I think Robert Pattinson did a terrific job as the Batman. I think he did a great job. I feel like some people, they always have the critics, the critiques or whatever. Those people, they're like, oh, I hated it, and oh, I was this and I was that. But me, I loved it. I loved it. It was great. I really liked it. And Zoe Kravitz, I think that's her name. Who, of course, I don't know if it was technically Batwoman, but might as well be Batwoman. She did a great job too. I think it was really great. I think he made a great Batman, and she made a great Batwoman. But there were some parts in this movie I kind of was like, I told my brother, because I watched this with him, and I told him that I couldn't have been Batman. Like, I couldn't have been any of the detectives on that case with the Riddler, because I'm bad with riddles. And I know it seems like, come on, it's just a riddle. Like, it's a riddle. Like, But I'm bad with riddles. Like, that's the thing. I suck at riddles. Like, some of them I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's right, I get it. Like the little things that they, gave you in middle school, where it was like in those little boxes, and it would be like, it'll be like she, or it'll be like he, and it'll be beside himself, and it's, he's beside himself, that kind of stuff. But like riddles, like the ones that they were saying in the movie, like I felt stupid, because I would have been like, I could not, like I said, I told my brother that there was no way I could have been a detective. There's no way I could be a detective, because I'm not good at this kind of stuff. Like, we were like halfway through the movie. They were trying to figure out who the rat was. And I told my brother, I looked at him and I said, see, he's better than me, because I would have still been trying to figure out the first riddle, what happens, what does a dead man do? What does a liar do when he's dead? I'd still be trying to figure out that riddle. And we didn't got through halfway through the movie. I'm not proud to say that either, but, it is what it is. But I thought, I was like, but man, Batman, he was getting them like this. I'm like, so another movie where they have made the cops incompetent, and Batman is basically doing their job for them. And they have the audacity to be like, how could you, Commissioner Gordon? Like, how could you invite that vigilante here? And I'm like, but if the vigilante is like solving the riddles that y'all are apparently, it's too hard for y'all to solve, what's the problem? Like, if he's helping y'all, what's the problem? And I was like, wow. But I do appreciate, and then somebody made a joke about this in a movie. I want to say it was like the film theorist or somebody was making a joke about how they always had to like make us watch the scene with him losing his parents, and so I'm just really glad that he didn't do that in this movie, because we've seen it enough. Well, we get the picture. We don't want to see it again. But anyways, I'm happy that they focused more on, I guess, maybe the life of like his father, his mother, more of, the crime type thing that happened around that, instead of, like I said, like his parents dying again. So I appreciate the way that they went in that direction with this movie. But anyways, I like how I jumped right into it. And, he was at like the scene after that brutal murder, being hit over the head with a blunt object. And so I'm like, now you didn't hit this man. And this man is a husband and a father. So what is he gonna tell his children? Or what? Who's gonna tell? Because he ain't gonna be saying nothing. Not to be morbid, but what are they gonna tell his son? You know what I'm saying? Oh, daddy got hit over the head with a blunt object. And then come to find out, I think it was the kid that found him like that. And I was like, oh my God. And maybe it was like foreshadowing, because I think that was him and his family. That somebody was, well, probably the Riddler was watching through that window at the beginning of the movie. And, him fake stabbing him. I was like, the irony, the foreshadow. So then, they move along, and, you find out that this man was not the squeaky clean person that we thought he was. No, he was cheating on his wife. He had beat a woman of the night at a club, and he was involved in all kinds of debauchery. I mean, I can't say, I don't want to say that he still deserved to die. Like, I feel like it would have been better payback to, like, expose all of his secrets than to just kill him. Like, he could have, been a better man, but that was taken away from him, because you thought, you were the passer of thou judgment, so you should kill him. And I'm just like, come on now. But anyway, so the Riddler put that thing on, and it's like, to the Batman. And they're like, why does he keep leaving you messages? And I'm like, because in a way, he's kind of telling y'all that he thinks that y'all are too stupid to solve these. And that this is a game between him and Batman, because he knows that Batman is the only one smart enough to get down to the bottom of it. And that's the crazy part. Batman wasn't even a detective, wasn't a cop, but he was doing their job better than they were. I was like, you might as well just hand the case over to Batman, because at the rate that y'all are going, y'all are not getting nowhere. So anyways, then, he meets Selina Kyle while he was trying to question, everybody. And I'm like, okay, so at this point, I get it. He's not Superman. So while, after bullet number 1, everybody should have noticed bullets don't work, regular bullets, because the man is bulletproof. He's the Man of Steel. Bullets are not gonna work on him. But with Batman, obviously he has a suit on. And if he took a bat to the back and he was okay for the most part, obviously the suit has some sort of, mechanism that's like, numbing this. Unless it's like, a bullet like the one he got shot with at the end of the movie. Now, but regular old bullets, they're not gonna work unless you shoot him in the mouth, because that's the only part that was covering him up. Now, I told my brother that too. I was like, okay, it's cool that his suit is bulletproof, obviously, except for that one bullet that he got shot with, because, I mean, come on now. He's a human after all, human technology, like, it's got to have some kind of limitation. But if they shot him in the mouth, it's over for him. So I was like, I know, like, we like the kind of cool aesthetic with him, having, like, the mask cut off his, his face or whatever. But he needs to have that, just fully commit to the bat thing and put on a whole bat mask, because if they shoot you in the mouth, that's a wrap. But anyways, so, he's going to the club, beating up people, and they're trying to figure out, he's trying to figure out some stuff, and he sees her, and then she hurry up and leaves because he knows, he sees her with the boots, and I think that she had wore the other young lady's boots, and that's how he knew that they were connected. He follows her to her house. I'm trying to understand why people don't like putting curtains on their windows. This girl is over here talking, I think her name is Annika, to the girl. She's all like battered and scared because she's thinking they're about to like off her. And I'm like, first of all, maybe you should have some curtains, on your windows. So, some random Bob, Jim won't be able to see inside of your house, first of all. And literally Batman just watches her go like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And put on the cat burglar suit. And I'm like, now you've already given yourself away. So, how have you kept your identity this long? But anyways, follows her. She gets the passport because they took it to keep her from being able to get out of the country, which was probably the only way she was going to be able to get away from them. Maybe. But she should have at least just like started going from town to town. Just started, And then he was like, oh, you're really good at that. And she was like, who do you think you are, mister? He was like, let me help her. But by the time they get to the house, she's already gone. And I at first I thought she left by herself because she just got so scared. But the way they left that house, obviously they found out she was there and they snatched her up. And so she was like, well, doggone it. Oh, I could be wrong about that. But anyway, she was like, doggone it. And so then, bodies keep dropping. He convinces her to go back to the club and like look with the little thingy in her eye so that she can, so that, he could see who all was in there. He was like, that's the DA. That's the so-and-so. That's a lawyer. He's a politician. And I'm like, I mean, this is nothing new. Like, this is pretty on brand with real life. You know what I'm saying? So he's just like, wow, there's all these people up in here and they're probably involved in all kind of scandals, and most of these people are married and got kids. And then she gets to Falcone and he was like, that's Falcone. And he was like all up in her face talking about oh, how are you doing? And like putting his hands all over her. And I'm like, I don't like how he's looking at her. I don't like how he's touching her. And then she goes to like the restroom, and first he thinks that like they have some kind of, I guess, sexual relationship, or maybe I could be wrong. He figures out that they have some sort of relationship, and so she just gets upset because she just met Batman. She don't need him all up in her business. So she takes a little thing out, and he was like, well, doggone it. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. You're trying to, use every avenue that you can to get, help her find the girl, I guess, and to get down to the bottom of these people that was coming up dead. But he kind of put her in a really bad position. Well, no, I take it back. He really put her in a bad position. Dangerous, too, because he was asking that guy all these questions. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm just so stressed out. And, I you want some of this drugs? She's like, oh, no, I'm good. I was like, oh, okay. and I'm just so stressed out, and all these guys have been coming up, and we just don't want them to, and I feel like he almost slipped up, you know, it was basically like, we just don't want them to find out that we're all involved in this stuff that we're not supposed to be involved in, and that's why people keep coming up dead. But then he goes to his car, and he was talking about some, hey, I can take you home. I'm like, so aren't you married? I know that man was married and had kids, at least 2 kids. And she was like, no, I'm good. Like, and I don't blame her, because I wouldn't want to go with some guy that I just met. Like, that's a big no-no when you're a single female on the streets by yourself. Well, I don't think she was single, but nonetheless, it's nighttime. You're single, or you're not single. You're a female, or you're a woman, excuse me. That's a big no-no. And it's a good thing that she didn't go with him, because, of course, the Riddler was waiting for him in his car. And I just don't understand. Like, I get it that it was supposed to be like a low-profile place. But I just don't understand how nobody saw his car shaking and the little beeping thing. Like, I don't understand. And so then he comes up. At first, I thought he was dead. I thought the Riddler put something on him to, like, suffocate him. And so they come up, and you know, the next day was the funeral for, you know, the guy that was murdered in the very beginning. And you know, his son was just there, and he just looked so upset, and I was like, oh, that poor child. And Batman, I feel like Batman, well, him as Bruce Wayne, was connecting with him because, of course, he had lost his parents when he was, you know, young. And so, you know, he was with Falcone. At first he thought the young woman that was with him was Selina Kyle, but it wasn't. And so he was like, oh, look, you know, the, you know, elusive Bruce Wayne, like, finally come out of his, you know, little hiding spot. And he's just like, you know. And so they go in the church. Well, I think it was a church where the funeral was being held. And freaking car drives through. Everybody's like, get out of the way. And they're like screaming. And he's like looking like, what in the world? And then he sees the car coming. He sees the kid just standing there like, oh. And so he goes to like save the kid. And I was like, okay, that was really nice for him to save the kid. And then he gets out of the car and they're like, show your hands. Because, you know, all the police officers were there. Of course. Show your hands. So he gets out. He's like, and he's like, oh crap. So then they evacuate everybody out of the building because the man has a bomb attached to him. And then Batman shows up. Why? Again, I can't understand why people didn't put 2 and 2 together. Like, it's not as stupid as the Clark Kent Superman disguise, with literally all he does is take off a pair of glasses and do a wardrobe change. But it's like, okay, Batman is going out every night helping y'all solve crimes. You never see Bruce Wayne, even during the day. So it's like, maybe that's a stretch, but whatever. And then magically, Bruce Wayne just leaves with everybody else because he has to, because they had to evacuate. And then Batman shows up. Anyways, so he's like, please help me. And he was like, okay, well, answer the phone. And then I'm thinking to myself, so were they sitting there this entire time while the phone was ringing? Anyways, so I guess I figured that the Riddler had some technology that was too just advanced for them to be able to track him down, or he just knew how to hack or whatever he had to do to keep them from tracking him through that phone. But anyway, I would hope so, because if that was what was standing in between them, you know, getting him and not getting him, then again, incompetence. But anyways, so he gets there, and so he answers the phone. The Riddler's on the other side, and, you know, he's laughing and chuckling it up and making all kinds of new, you know, riddles again. The man would have been dead longer time ago messing with me, because I would not have been able to help him. I suck at riddles. I would have been like, sir, you might as well get somebody else, or start praying now, because you're about to go. And so he started answering all. Well, he answered the first 2, but that last question, he was like, tell me who's the rat. And he was like, oh no. He's like, you might as well just leave me alone. He's like, you might as well just go stand from a safe distance with everybody else. And he was like, just tell him who it is. Like, you'll survive if you tell him who it is. And he was like, no. And he was right, because if he would have said it, he would have been, he was like, he might as well have been a dead man walking, him and everybody who he cared about. And he was like, oh, it's people that I love and I care about. And I was just like, he should have spent them last few minutes praying, is what he should have did. And Batman should have got away from him. The moment he said, I'm not doing it, he should have been like, okay. And he should have walked off. But then this man got exploded. Like I said, the suit was the only thing that was keeping him from getting his head exploded. And then he woke up with the cops around him talking about, we should take off his mask. Like, why would you do that to him? Like, that, like I said, oh, that made me so mad. And he gets up like swinging. What else is he supposed to do? Y'all standing all over him talking about, oh, he should take off his mask. And then Commissioner Gordon is like, hey, stop it, everybody. He's trying to, like, keep the peace or whatever. Seemed like the only, like, you know, reasonable-minded person in the room other than Batman. And then they gonna, like, he was telling them, like, I just don't understand, like, why they treated him the way they treated him. You know what I'm saying? Like, after what he did. Like, at least he tried to help. They all was, like I said, too incompetent to do anything at all. And they still gonna treat him like, but whatever. Like, we know how it goes in these superhero movies. But anyways, so Commissioner Gordon was like, hey. And he pulls him over to the side and he was like, okay, look, hit me in the face. And you're gonna run out that way. You know how his voice is. I don't remember his name, but I think he was also the actor who played the Watcher in the If series. He has a cool voice. But anyways, he's like, you're gonna hit me and you're gonna run down that, you're gonna take this key, you're gonna get out of here. He was like, okay. And then he goes bam, and then he gets out of there. Then he puts on this little suit and he flies, and I'm like, all right, yes, I'm here for it. Flying like a bat, living up to the name. I'm here for it. And he gets away, and they're all mad. And then when they meet back up, he's like, you could have pulled your punch, man. He was like, I mean, I did. I'm like, come on, this man, he was raised to fight. And then he's got the suit, that's extra, packs an extra punch. So they're trying to figure out what to do next. They're trying to figure out who the rat is. And they go to the Penguin. And that whole entire scenario was just him meeting up with Selena Kyle, trying to take the money. And he was like, girl, they're going to be after your life if you take that money. She was like, it's owed to me because that was my father. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? Come again? And even me, I was like, come again? And then she was like explaining to him what happened, like with her mother, how she, got, unfortunately she got murdered, and how he didn't do anything to help her, wasn't really there for her. She defended for herself. She was looking for that girl. And then she should not have had to find her that way. Like, I hate that she found her that way in the back of the car. And almost got shot because none of them were paying attention. And then freaking guy with the bags. And then the guy was like, get the money. And he gonna get in the car and then take off before letting him get in the car with the money he just told him to make sure to get. And he's just standing there like, hey. And then she runs into him and then takes one of the bags. And I'm just like, between the henchmen and the cops, I don't know who's worse. And then they doing a whole high-speed chase, blowing up stuff. I'm just like, now his Batmobile was pretty cool though. I gotta give him that. It was a pretty cool Batmobile. And then he finally catches him. He was like, it wasn't me. I'm not the rat, And then they, they're trying to think, okay, rat, something about a bird and wings and a pigeon. Oh, the penguin. No, it's not the penguin. Oh, a falcon. That's another bird that has wings. And then they think of Falcone. And like, Then he goes to him as Bruce Wayne instead of Batman. He was like, I just have a question. And this is after the Riddler, who, now see, this is one of those things that don't make sense to me. So the Riddler's so smart, right, with his little riddles and his little plans. He couldn't put together that Batman was Bruce Wayne. Maybe I'm giving people a little too much credit, or not enough credit, but I would think that the Riddler would be able to put it together. But he didn't. He did, but not until like after the fact. So he targets Bruce Wayne, right? Sends a bomb to his house, and Alfred is the one who picks it up. We were all like, no, Alfred. He's calling, blowing up the phone. And then somebody else answers the phone. And he was like, I'm trying to get to Alfred. And she was like, I'm sorry. You're too late. So about 30 minutes ago. He was like, ah. And I was like, ah. Because I was like, not Alfred. Everybody was like, not Alfred. But anyways, at least he was alive. Okay. And so, but then it didn't make sense to me again. Things in movies that don't make sense. So I get that the Riddler was targeting people, basically like higher up people who were kind of like, privileged, entitled, who used their power to do bad things, right? And then he puts out there, all on the news, which he really didn't have the right to do, of course, but whatever, I guess, that there was, a reporter that was trying to spill the beans on Bruce Wayne's mother being in and out of like a mental facility. Now here's where I have to draw the line. I get it. Reporters had their job to do, but sometimes I do feel like they cross the line sometimes. Ethically and morally, I feel like sometimes reporters cross the line. And I don't think it was really their business or their right to put that out there. Because who would want the world to know that they had mental issues? You know what I'm saying? And, of course they were trying to do that to ruin Bruce's father's campaign. I think his name was Thomas Wayne, right? I can't remember. They were trying to ruin his campaign, and they were going to do it by putting that information out there. And so I get it if you don't like the guy or if you don't like what he's doing, you have every right. But to do that, that's just kind of dirty. And of course, when you're going through something as stressful as a campaign and you're trying to win, last thing you need is somebody trying to dig up dirt on you or somebody who you care about. And I get it. They're like, look, we need this person to shut up. And I think he did try to send like a whole cease and desist and do it the right way. But why in the world did he go to Falcone? I don't know. He did. They were best friends, I guess, at the time. And he was like, And he took it a step further and just offed the person. And you know, he was like, I didn't want you to do that. And so I was like, well, why would he do that? If that's not exactly, because you know, you find out later I don't believe that's what Bruce Wayne's father asked him to do specifically. Maybe it was. But then my brother was like, well, hey, maybe he did it on purpose, whether he knew it's what he wanted him to do or not, because that's dirt he could have on him. Oh, well, you know, Mr. Wayne had this reporter offed not too long ago because he was going to expose his wife for having mental issues, you know. And so I was like, oh, you got a point there. But still, and so then I think Bruce Wayne's father was going to go to the police because maybe it just weighed too much on his conscience. And of course, Falcone had to, oh no, you're not gonna do that to us, and had, took care of that. And so he goes to Falcone after the Riddler exposed all of this, which I don't believe he knew because he was a child at the time. And he goes to Falcone and he was like, is it true? You had somebody off who was trying to ruin my family's reputation? He was like, oh yeah, your brother took a bullet for me. And so, he had this, person that was trying to throw some dirt on his wife, on your mother. And so I took care of him for him. He was like, it's just the truth. He knew it, I knew it. And then he tried to pin his murder on somebody else. And so he goes to Alfred, visit him in hospital. And he was saying, why didn't you tell me that my dad and Falcone had somebody killed? And he was like, oh, no. You had that all the way mixed up. And he finally told him the story the right way. And he was like, I didn't want to tell you, but I didn't at the same time. Because I didn't want you to think poorly of him. And, he was like, so do you think Falcone was the one who did it? And he was like, I wish I knew for sure, man. And I was like, dang. This man looked you in the eyes and lied to you and said that it was somebody else when it wasn't. I was like, wow, he's like one of those guys, those thugs. It's hardcore. And it's they look you in the eye and they lie to you. I'm just like, so he was like, oh, okay. And then he finds out, of course, they found out that he's the rat. So then doggone it, Selina Kyle calls them over and finds one of the guys who admits that, they took the girl Annika, and that recording was brutal, of him basically strangling that girl after making her tell him what they told her. Oh, she was with somebody and they said something or whatever, or asked her something and she told them. And it was so sad. And I was like, dang. And so she wanted to kill the guy, but Batman was like, once you go down this road, you can't come back, And so she was like, I'm going to get him. Don't care who he is. Don't care where he at. I'm going to get him. Catch me if you can. And then she leaves. And he was like, we got to stop her. And so, him and Commissioner Gordon are trying to do this the right way. She almost had him too. She pulls him over to the side and she was like, I need to talk to you, in private. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, what is it? And she was like, my friend, she's been gone and I'm so worried. And he was like, oh, you want a tissue? She's like, oh no, I have one. And she has the gun in her purse. And I'm like, why did she hesitate? If you were going to shoot him, you should have just shot him if that's what you're going to do. And then the news comes on. She's looking at him. She's looking at the news. And he's like, give me one moment. And then he knows that he's in trouble now. And then she starts trying to shoot him. And then she's trying to fight him. And then she almost gets choked to death. And then Batman comes and takes him. And he was like, you're never going to keep me in prison. You know that. I'll be out tomorrow. And he brings him outside. And he just happens to be standing under a street light. Another thing that doesn't make sense. Happens to be standing under a street light. And did the street light blow out? Or was there a gun in the street light? And then he dies. And I'm like, but it makes sense. He said, bring the rat into the light. But still, that's a load of bull crap. I don't know about it. Y'all feed me with cookies. And he was like, this is not what I was trying to do. We were trying to take him in and do this the right way. And I know Selina Kyle was like, that's what you get. So then, come to find out, he killed her mother. And I was like, oh my God. So his preferred method of murder was strangulation, preferably on women. So then they finally catch the Riddler, because he just basically, I guess, gets tired of, I don't know, he just gives himself over. And then somewhere in between, he found out that Batman was Bruce Wayne. And then he goes there because, like, Commissioner Gordon was like, he wants to speak to you. So he goes there and he's just like, Bruce Wayne. That was so weird, but well done. I'll put it that way. He was like, Bruce Wayne. He was standing there like, what did you do? Like, I can't get over it. It's almost on par with the, why did you say that name? Like, I thought that was so hilarious, by the way. I still think it's hilarious. But he was like, what did you do? What did you do? And then he gonna say, well, you must not be as smart as I thought you were, Batman. And I feel like that was a little bit unfair to say, because he literally solved almost all of those riddles right on the spot. When they had the first death and it said, what does a liar do when dead? He was like, he lies still. Like, it only took him like a minute. He's like, he lies still. Like, and then the other things, like when it was a time crunch and old guy had the bomb strapped to him, he came off with those answers like right away. So I was like, I feel like it's a little unfair. Like, how was he supposed to know that the weapon, one of the weapons that was used, he was supposed to uproot the carpet with, and you had a map of bombs placed around the city to flood the city and then shoot people like mice in a barrel? Like, how was he supposed to know that? How was he supposed to know that? I was like, and so my brother was like, so does this mean like that Batman lost? Like, because he didn't actually save anybody's life. He saw the riddles, yeah, but all of them died. Like, and then the city still got flooded. So I was like, oh, well, you know what? I guess he kind of did lose. Like, but he was still there. He was still like helping and saving people. He was getting down to the bottom of like the big crime. But we were like, well, maybe this is like a younger, less experienced Batman who's still learning. That's cool too, still. But I was like, sir, how you gonna flood the whole city? Like, I know you're in confinement, in Gotham mental facility. But sir, you're still in the same town that's being flooded, I don't know. I was like, how you gonna do that? How you gonna flood the town and then get caught, flood the town, and then you're still in there with everybody else? They know you did it. But anyways, he's trying to help these people, doggone it. They're in a little wherever they were, and then the newly elected, I think she was like the governor or the mayor, was like, I'm not gonna abandon the people. She was trying to do the right thing and all that. I'm not gonna abandon the people. And she goes out there, and he was like, wait, don't go out there. Something's not right. And she was like, I just need your attention. And then she looks up and she sees the gunman waiting, and like, oh, we've been realized. Shoot her. And then she gets shot, and I was like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't die. And then Commissioner Gordon goes out there and he saves her. And I was like, oh my God. And then like the water comes in, and then he's trying to fight them to stop them from shooting people. And then he gets shot by a gun. I think it was like I'm not familiar with weapons. So, some sort of like rifle, AK, I don't know. He gets shot, okay, by a bullet, okay. And his armor, his bat suit was like, look, we had you when it was like the little handguns and like, when you got hit by the bat. Yeah, that was real cute. But this is a bullet for real. We can't help you with this. He probably broke some ribs taking that bullet. And then Selina Kyle comes to save him, and then he saves her, and and then he goes and tries to, save everybody else from getting electrocuted to death, and almost dies in the process. At first I thought he died. I was about to be so mad. Like, when he sliced that wire, I was like, sir, but you could die. He sliced that wire. And at first I was like, why didn't he just like throw it? But then my brother was like, but if he did, what if he missed? And I was like, dang it, you're right. I was like, see, this is why I'm not good at this. And I was saying, you so all right. And he was like, that would have been a hard like throw to make. And I was like, you all right. So, but he made it. And I was like, I don't know if I really believe that he made that, but okay, I'll go for it. Because that just didn't seem survivable, but whatever. And so then they get back, and Selina Kyle decides, she was like, look, you can stay here and try to save this drowning city, pun intended, but I'm leaving. Because you can try and help, but it's never going to be where you want it to be. Like, you try to save it, but it's not savable. This town is not savable. He was like, well, somebody's gonna try. She was like, hey, that's what you want to do, baby. You can go ahead and stay behind and do it. And she was like, I'm leaving. Like this, she was like, everybody that I cared about is gone. I have nothing here. I'm leaving. And it was that scene where he was like looking back on her on the bike, and I was like, man. But then remember when she said though, she was like, these like privileged white men. And she looked dead at him, not knowing that he was Bruce Wayne. And his eyes, like, I don't know if anybody noticed that, but his eyes got wide, like, oh crap. Like she's talking about me. Or she's putting me in that same category. But that's another thing that I didn't understand. So I was telling my brother, so the Riddler, at first I was like, okay, if you're gonna be a villain or do stuff like this and you have like a reason, you gotta stick to the reason. So you were mad because it was people, you were targeting people, like you said, that, that were like big wigs, that were in position of power, that was abusing it, doing bad things, covering up massive crimes, killing people, having like, syndicates and whatnot. But then you targeted Bruce Wayne. And what I didn't understand is I get, that maybe he thought Bruce Wayne was the same person that his father was. But he didn't know that. But then again, I said, well, as smart as he is being able to tap into all this information and expose people and stuff, he should have known. But then again, he might not have been epic because, Bruce Wayne was, he was a recluse, so there wasn't probably a lot of information on him. But to just assume that he grew up the same person as his father, because, and especially if his father wasn't there because he died, or was murdered rather. So that's where I started to fall off. And then I was like, okay, I understand. I won't say I condone it because I don't understand you taking on all these guys because they're linked to some real bad stuff. But what did the rest of the townspeople do to you? Like, that's where I fell off. I was like, now come on now. Your whole reasoning, you just threw it in the trash because you didn't got all these other innocent people involved that didn't deserve to die. And maybe he's just mad because, like, like he was explaining how whenever his dad died, all that money that's supposed to go to that orphanage didn't. And he probably just had a rough life. As a result, he just became a bad person. And he wanted people to suffer like how he suffered. But still, I'm like, if you're going to be a supervillain, you're going to have a mantra, or why you do what you do, you got to stick to it. But that's what I feel like in a lot of these movies, they don't. Like, you don't ever really see a villain that truly sticks to why they do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Or that it makes sense. But anyways, I thought that this was good. This movie was really, really good. I thought it was good. It was long. I didn't expect it to be like 3 hours, but whatever. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. And like I said, I thought that Robert Pattinson did a great job as Batman. And I'm very excited to see, future movies with him in it. I hope that they do intend to make some more movies with him in it. Because like I said, I liked him in this movie. So I'm excited to see a next installment of this movie. So, I really like this movie. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was sad because, the people that died. But, I liked it. So I just, tell me what you think in the comments. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me what you think down below.